Namaste, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Blooming Lotus Healing Channel. My name is Jikara, and I'm a spiritual healing facilitator. I work in the Akashic Records to clear energies from this and other lifetimes to help you move past any discordance in your life. And today I'm going to talk about spiritual truths in regards to negative emotions. In this healing journey that we are entering in, right? If you're part of this community and you're coming into this channel, you're definitely interested in your process of learning, how to heal yourself, and you're also going through your spiritual awakening. And most likely you've been either healing yourself, and you've been contending with negative emotions that may have come up in your journey. So if you're interested to learn a little bit more about the truth about these negative emotions and how to make sense of them showing up in your journey, then you definitely want to stay tuned and continue watching this video. But before we get started, I just kind of want to take a moment just to thank all of my supporters. Thank you all for supporting this channel, for every single person who's sharing this video, who's liking this video or any video, or for those of you who have subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much. If you haven't done yet, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel now and make sure that you share and like this video if you feel that it brought any sort of benefit into your experience. I also want to mention that right now, the Cosmic Light Activation membership community is open for you to join. And if you want to join, I want to invite you to go over to my website at thebloominglotushealing.com/cosmic dash light dash activation. And some of the things, so some of the perks of joining the Cosmic Light Activation community is that we do monthly Akashic clearings for the group, so they're collective clearings. And then we also have a Telegram group where we can connect with each other. So a private Telegram group and a private Telegram channel where we get to connect a little bit more. And then I also, we have our own portal where you can log in and be able to access all of the clearings, the recordings of the clearings that we've done so far. So if you join today, you'll have access to all of the clearings that we've done so far. And then of course you'll have access to the private Zoom link so that you can join for the next call when we do our clearing session for the next month. And then I also share within the portal a weekly oracle guidance for the collective. I connect to the spiritual team for the Cosmic Light Activation. We have our own spiritual team, and they kind of just share certain insights through the oracle cards, so that you have that ongoing support on a weekly basis. So I hope that you consider joining, and I'd love to see you there. And then also I am adding more perks into for the group as we move through this. So I want to invite you to join because there's more things that are going to come in for the group, for the community, as we move forward. So moving into the conversation about our negative emotions, and I'm going to give you a few things. So I'm going to give you about, I wrote down a list. So about 5 things that are true in relationship to the negative emotions, and the perspective on a spiritual, or the spiritual perspective of negative emotions. And so the first thing you want to consider is that um, they are serving you. So negative emotions, and I'm talking about, such as jealousy or anger or any sort of negative emotions that you may experience. We tend to want to push them away, right? We tend to want to, avoid them because we are taught that if we are to be called spiritual, that we are definitely goody goody, that everything is good, that we're joyful and peaceful all the time. And the reality is that that is not sustainable for our human experience, especially when we're coming in with baggage. if you're someone who's coming in with any sort of baggage from this lifetime, where you may have trauma or any other experiences that are negative, then you want to be aware of this and honor these negative emotions from a place of love and compassion and acceptance. So the first thing that you want to understand here is that these negative emotions are actually serving a purpose. They're serving you. They're serving you as flags, right? There are flag points that are giving you kind of like an opportunity for you to be aware of something. Something doesn't feel right. And that negative emotion is showing up to let you know that something is there, something's wrong. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to that. Especially if you are someone who has experienced any sort of trauma, any sort of, very, or maybe you're dealing with PTSD or anxiety or depression, you want to make sure that, as you're going through your spiritual journey, that you're also, packing up on the tools alongside with professionals that are going to help you in that journey of expansion. And there's nothing wrong with seeking a therapist. There's not nothing wrong with seeking someone that can support you, that is trained to do so, to support you in that journey. So if you are someone who is dealing with very heavy negative emotions, and there's trauma, and trauma doesn't have to be something, for example, like you went to war and came back and then you're traumatized. It doesn't have to be something extreme. It can be something as simple as, having a trauma in your body, maybe having like a traumatic event with a doctor. Maybe a malpractice. It could be something such as a traumatic event with a loved one, maybe someone passing. It can be such as something as simple as maybe a car accident. It could be so many things, right? So any sort of trauma that you feel you may have experienced, you want to kind of like take consideration of anything from the past that you are aware of, so that you can be more open to recognize if there's something related to that trauma and seek the support and the help. And a lot of times those flags, those flag points that show up in negative emotions are going to show you, hey, something else, especially if you come in and you connect to it from a place of curiosity, right? Like you want to make sure that you stay curious and stay open to figure out, okay, where is this coming from, right? So they're definitely serving you as flags, and they're also a really incredible way for you to see parts of yourself that are still feeling unhealthy, right? It's kind of like I was mentioning about trauma or any other feeling of abandonment, or any sort of feeling of maybe childhood, maybe like a situation in childhood that felt uneasy for you, or maybe traumatic. Then this is a part of you that is speaking to you. So you don't want to repress it. You want to kind of like pay attention to it and speak to it. Number two is they let you know when you are in need of spiritual healing. And so this is a really great thing when it comes down to negative emotions, because there really are such amazing flag points for us. And I've talked about this before here on the channel, where I've had situations where I have a negative emotion arise when I just interact with someone, just suddenly met someone. I haven't had any conversations with them in the past. I'm just meeting them, but I immediately have all of these negative emotions coming up around this person. And so that is a telltale sign that there could be something beyond this lifetime that needs to be addressed. So you can get that, kind of looked at through an Akashic clearing, and possibly there may be something related to either past lives excuse me, or different lifetimes, or parallel lives or different dimensions, where you may have had a connection with that other soul, where those negative emotions were present, and then you're kind of calibrating to that energy when you interact with that person. And so what that means is that when we think about emotions, their energy in motion. So you're connecting to the energy of somewhere in your, in your energy field that doesn't feel right, right? So that's when that interaction, that instant interaction happens, which I have a video about energy cords and I explain a little bit about this. So I'll leave that on the description below. When that interaction happens, then for sure that there's something happening in relationship to that negative emotion and that person that you can't really explain. You don't know where that's coming from. It's not related to a trauma. It's not related to anything else, but you know for sure there's something that doesn't feel right. And so you may want to consider looking into doing some spiritual healing in relationship to that person and looking at that relationship at the soul level. Number three is they are not meant to be repressed. Kind of going back to what I was mentioning, I kind of went ahead, skipped ahead a little bit on number one, which I was talking about repress. We don't want to repress our emotions. So we want to make sure that we recognize that these are serving us, right? Going back to that number one is that they're serving a purpose. So we want to pay attention. We don't want to put them away. We don't want to cast them aside, because guess what's going to happen? What's going to happen is that those negative emotions are going to come back. They're going to come back every single time. They're going to basically, just let you know that they're there and they need to be addressed. So it's important that you don't repress them, because whether you are aware of it or not, once you repress them and maybe you're ignoring them for a while, at the subconscious level, you're still operating from that negative emotion, and you may end up making decisions that are operating from that specific space. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to that and allow yourself to to give that negative emotion the space, which brings me to number four. These are meant to be embodied. So let me reel it back in here, because I don't want to necessarily invite you to just go out to town and just, go into a rage mode and, express all these negative emotions in a way that is uncontrolled and destructive, because that's not what I'm saying here. You're meant to embody these emotions in whichever form that is safe. So you can embody the emotions through basically connecting to the emotion and doing something productive with it. So you don't want to just go out there and just blurt out all the negativity to someone else, because that's not serving anything. It's basically entangling more energy for you, and you don't need that. So what you want to do is you want to really feel into the emotion and embody it either through movement, embody it through poetry, embody it through singing, embody it, allow it to be expressed and embodied, allow it to exist, allow it to be in your essence, in your presence, so that it can be fulfilled, because the negative emotion needs to be fulfilled. There is a cycle about the emotion that wants to be completed, and when it's not completed, it's going to kickstart over and over again whenever it gets triggered until it is completed. And so you want to make sure that you embody this emotion until you feel completed. So you may need to embody emotion more than one time, and eventually you will feel the release, right? So you want to make sure that you create those safe spaces for yourself. Again, seek that support like I mentioned earlier. Especially if you have gone through any traumatic event, having somebody that can support you in that journey, that knows, that is trauma informed, that will be able to give you the tools and guide you in a way that is safe for you and that feels safe for you. Because you want to make sure that when you dive into this, that you're diving in a way that is safe, that it won't hurt you even further, and that it won't hurt anyone around you in any shape or form. Then we have number five, which is they can separate us when they are not addressed immediately. So this is important for us to remember, that these emotions are there for us to pay attention to them, for us to do something about them. They're basically, it's a part of us that is within us, that is talking back to us through the emotion, right? Who that is letting us know that something is up, right? That's basically what it is. However, it's important to recognize that we don't want to stay in that emotion. That's the reason why it's important that we go through the embodiment process of it, so that we can release, or we seek the support, so that we can go back into our heart space. Because when we stick with that emotion, when we continue to go back to that emotion and just live in there without any sort of embodiment and healing process that we get into, then what happens is that as we stay in that energy, then we're creating separation between us and other people as well, especially if that negative emotion is related between you and the other person. So the more we harbor that negative emotion, the more we separate, energetically from that person. It doesn't mean that, for example, I'm going to give you an example that is, fresh in my own life. So, let's say you have someone where there's conflict, and you cannot see eye to eye. There's no kind of like, there's no middle ground happening. So even at that time, even if there's no middle ground at that time, and you're not seeing each other, you still want to address the negative emotions, right? On your own. Why do you want to address the negative emotions? Because as you address them on your own, then you're creating more of that healing energetically. Even if the other person is not reacting to it, or they're not receptive to it, it doesn't matter, because what matters is that you yourself are healing that part. You're releasing that part. Whatever they do on their end, that is up to them, right? That is their divine path. But in your divine path, you get to be invited to address this issue and heal this part, so that you don't have to carry that forward, right? You don't have to carry that into your next lifetime. So it is a lot of work, especially when two people are not, well, let's say two people are involved and one of them are not receptive to it. Then you've got to do your work without kind of like resolution, right? Like sometimes there might not be any resolution on the 3D immediately, or maybe there may be, but we have to wait for it, right? So all we can do is do our best to show up for ourselves, and show up energetically in alignment with our soul, and energetically in alignment with our hearts. And as long as we are doing that, then we have done our best, right? And so it's important to do that. So these are the 5 things that I felt were important for us to address. Recently, I had someone mention something, and I kind of wanted to kind of add this additional thing about anger, because someone mentioned something on one of the comments, how they felt anger, and how they were avoiding, and they didn't want to feel the anger. And so that's what sparked this video, sparked the idea to make this video. And so I kind of wanted to talk about anger, in the eh, specifically in the realm of negative emotions and anger, because anger is a big one for people that they want to avoid whenever they're in their spiritual path. They feel like there's something wrong with them, because they're feeling all of these negative emotions, especially with anger, like, oh my gosh, like there's something wrong with me, I shouldn't be angry. And I kind of want to invite you to start seeing anger as a tool. It's a tool that is letting you know that maybe a boundary was crossed. It's a tool that is letting you know that maybe there was a situation that wasn't protecting you. Because anger, what it's doing is protecting you, right? And so when we look at anger from a place of, okay, this, I'm angry. Like, why am I angry? Why am I feeling like this? And we kind of look at it and we see, oh, okay, I'm angry because I felt this way. Then we can have that conversation internally, and maybe even see if it's maybe our inner child that felt unsafe. Maybe it was a trigger from a specific situation in a past life, not in a past life, but in a past experience, in a past relationship. But it could be a past life too. But in a past relationship where it left certain parts of us that are still healing, right? And so that we want to go back and address that. But specifically with anger, when you are feeling that, you want to pay attention to that, especially when you're dealing with other people who are spiritual, in the spiritual healing communities, or if you're feeling uncomfortable, and your boundaries are being crossed energetically, and you're feeling that anger, you want to pay attention to that. You want to honor that anger, and go back and try to find a way to move into a place where you are back into safety, back into a place um, of uh, of joy and freedom, right? Freedom of expression, freedom to be yourself. And so don't see negative emotions again as something that is terrible. And when you fall into a reactive state, you don't want to go into a space of, oh my gosh, like, how dare me, like I should know better. Listen, I fall into it as well. I get angry too. Sometimes I have moments where I don't have patience. I can be very impatient. It's part of the journey, right? So like when we keep ourselves from being human, and we try to become this perfect, vision of like only light and love, then we are denying ourselves the entire spectrum of our experience as a human, because we're not here to experience just light and love. We're also here to experience the other aspects, which are going to be, the anger, the jealousy, the greed. All of these discordant energies and emotions are meant to be experienced so that we can learn from them, right? The idea here is, or my invitation is, to see it as, okay, instead of seeing it as like, okay, well, listen, I fell into this energy, I fell into this, discordant energy, and this negative emotion. Let me go ahead and go back into my heart, right? And so, okay, I embody it, I move through it, I allow it to express, I allow it to exist within me, I allow myself to be the vessel, to be the container of that, and to let it be and flourish in a way that is healthy. And then I transmute it, and then I move back into my heart. And then from there, I can do the reflections, like, what did I learn from this? What exactly do I need to shift in my life so that I don't have to, so I don't have to deal with this again, or maybe this doesn't have to be exactly the same experience. How can I break the cycle? All these different things. So there's an aspect of just paying attention to, okay, what can I do? And this is going to happen over and over again, and we refine until we get to the point that maybe we are in neutrality a lot faster, or maybe, for a lot longer. But in the meantime, it's not a good idea for us to beat ourselves up for feeling negative emotions or try to repress our negative emotions. That's definitely a recipe for disaster. So I hope that this helped you, at least embrace all of you, embrace all of who you are, because you're beautiful exactly as you are, and all your light and your shadows are absolutely the expression of who you are. And you want to embrace everything of you. You want to embrace the exact aspect of who you are now, because if you are disconnected from that, then you're not in that joyful essence of expression and expansion. You're basically just disconnecting from yourself, and you don't want to do that. You want to be fully connected to all of who you are. And only in that process of being fully connected is that you is when you will be able um to really bring that light and that healing into your space, and again, come back into your heart a lot faster. So I hope this video helped you. I am so grateful for all of you who are part of this channel, for the supporters, and I want to invite you to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And please do share and like this video if you felt like this helped you, or maybe you know someone who might need to listen to this, when I'm about what I said here. And I also want to ask you to join the community, support this channel with the monthly membership community that I have going on. You get monthly Akashic clearings and weekly oracle guidance. Plus, there's going to be more special perks that I'm going to be sharing here in relationship to discounts with one-on-one sessions. And I also wanted to say that if you want to join and you're ready to join, you say, okay, Jikara, I'm ready. You're going to have access immediately to all of the replays of all of the clearings that have happened so far for this year. And then you'll have access to all of the replays for the readings that I've done so far for this past month. We have a brand new portal, so you'll have access to the clearings, at least the clearings you'll have access to. You'll have access to a private Telegram channel where I post announcements, and we also have a private Telegram group where you can come in and share. So there's so much. I'm really looking to really nourish this community, and I want to get closer to you. I want to get to know you more, and I'd love for you to get to know me better, get to know me a little bit more. And I just feel like this is a really great way to do so. So you can go to my website to sign up, and you go to thebloominglotushealing.com/, cosmic-light-activation. And so with that said, I want to thank you for watching until now. I want to just send you all my love, my gratitude your way. And I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Sunday. And namaste.